Now, before we get into this, we have to say that LUL Tim hasn't been convicted in King Von's death just yet. In fact, he's out on bail. We'll dig into that a little more later. For now, what we need to know is that there is a ton of different factors that go into this. First of all, LUL Tim might not have been the aggressor in the situation. Secondly, these dudes were from two very different neighborhoods, and that could have played into what exactly went down. And last, the beef that happened here really isn't even the fault of the people involved, most likely. There's just a good chance that they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. To understand the story, we're going to have to dig into some deep lore involving gangs located both in Chirac and Atlanta, which gets rather complicated. It's not as simple as Crips versus Bloods or anything like that, although that's probably what most people assume if they aren't educated about it. Instead, both gangs are split into sets, which are usually divided block by block in places across Chicago or Atlanta. Sometimes, even though a set is nominally a Crip set or a Blood set, it might also have beef with other sets that belong to the larger gang. This can happen because of hits, disrespect, betrayal, and everything in between. When it comes to LUL Tim specifically, he was born in Savannah, Georgia. He's a Virgo born on the 1st of September in 1998, meaning he's 22. His real name is Timothy Leaks, and he attended Jenkins High School growing up, playing on the football team and eventually joining the varsity team. When it comes to Chicago, though, it's really likely that people start gang life young, probably being involved in it before high school even starts. He's a part of a set that seems, according to all sources, to be led by a man named Quando Rondo. Now, we're going to dive just a little bit into Quando Rondo and what he's about. Quando was born as Tyquan Terrell Bowman in March of 1999. He showed a heavy interest in music from a very young age, making it a big part of his life early on. That said, he got wrapped up in some other stuff first. He spent a lot of his life gangbanging before getting in the rap game, although that was interrupted by a stay in a juvenile detention center, which he was released from in 2017. After he was done with the stay there, he really got things started. At the beginning of 2018, in January, he put out his first big song, I Remember, with Lil Baby. After that, he dropped 3 mixtapes pretty much back to back, making for a quick entrance into the scene. They're called Life Before Fame, Life After Fame, and From the Neighborhood to the Stage. One of his songs, Motivation, was featured pretty frequently on World Star for a while. After these kind of blew up, he got signed to Never Broke Again Records, which is an imprint of Atlantic that NBA YoungBoy came up with. He's put out more tracks and mixtapes since then, getting features from YoungBoy and even popping up on some of YoungBoy's tracks. He's also gotten features from the likes of Rich Homie Quan and Boosie Badass. At the beginning of 2020, he actually released his first studio album called QPOC. Now, when it comes to Quando and his beefs, we don't actually know a ton. We do know that King Von and Quando must have had some sort of beef, but we're not exactly sure where it started, why, or how things ended like they did with the death of King Von.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh?
Since the details are so vague here, we're gonna report what happened exactly as it happened, but only according to the details that are available. It all started at an Atlanta hookah lounge. The two crews entered into some sort of beef outside of a hookah lounge called Monaco in Atlanta. It's likely that everyone had just gone to relax after whatever they had done that day, when unfortunate circumstances started popping off. First of all, it started with a fist fight. From there, things seemed like they escalated quickly between the two crews. The main story being told at the moment is that King Von's team were the aggressors. According to Quando, he was taking a nap in his car when King Von and his crew started to approach the car. He heard his clique hollering, and from there decided he had to get out to see what's up. Surveillance shows that King Von was throwing punches before things really even went down. After that, details are hazy at best. All we know is that King Von ended up passing away. Quando completely stands by the idea that the shooting happened in self-defense, and if that's true, it seems like everyone was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. After the shooting happened, Quando and his crew did their best to get LUL Tim, the man who most likely pulled the trigger, out to the hospital. For about 2 weeks, Quando was entirely silent about the incident, likely because he didn't want to strengthen any of the rumors that were going down. After the shooting, LUL Tim was released on a bond of $100,000, which Quando and his crew celebrated, even going live to show how things were going for their newly released homie. Eventually, Quando released a song called End of Story, where he recounts his version of the events. A lot of people are saying that Quando shouldn't be standing by LUL Tim, and it could theoretically be dangerous for him too. That being said, he's expressed nothing but support for LUL Tim since the incident. The song itself continues to explain that he was just looking after himself in the same way that LUL Tim was. Everybody's wondering what's gonna happen from here. Is LUL Tim gonna do time after his trial? Is there gonna be retaliation from any of the Chicago dudes that probably feel like they got wronged here? These are difficult questions. There are some priors on LUL Tim's record, but that shouldn't really have anything to do with the shooting, right? At the end of the day. Honestly, those aren't even related. He's been hit with weapons possession and substance charges back in the day, but that doesn't exactly have any bearing on if Tim was defending himself or not. Only time is gonna tell from here, to be honest. A member of Quando's crew was reported saying, "Ain't no more free LUL Tim. Welcome cat, cuz," after the release of Tim from Fulton County Jail. LUL Tim was also spotted rolling around on an IG Live in his car after release, smacking on some chips and interacting with fans and friends who saw the stream. This has led to some of the ops to ask why he's rolling around so carefree after he's done something that shook the rap game up so hard. Not just that, but people's lives are a part of the situation. A few other rappers and people who are involved in that life have also come out to make statements that regardless of what it looks like, they're gonna make sure that LUL Tim faces some form of justice. One of the most threatening statements has come from Lil Reese, who did his own live on Twitter a while back, where he had some time to speak on some questions regarding how things are gonna go from here. Lil Reese is a Chi-Town native with a history in the rap game of his own. Not only that, but he's been name dropped by a few rappers that people are a little more familiar with, like Chief Keef. When he was asked about how things are gonna go and how he feels about LUL Tim being out on bond, he had a lot to say about it. According to a lot of fans, Lil Durk also had some things to say about it. Now, for those who don't know, Lil Durk is one of the top drill artists in Chicago right now. He's probably even got a debut album on the way soon. He's also rumored to be working on a joint album that's gonna be a collaboration with Lil Baby. But Durk was a really close friend of Von's, and fans are speculating after he deleted his Insta. In fact, rumors were circulating that Durk bought up all the seats at a show Quando was planning on having. It's most likely that Quando actually ran into legal issues and had to cancel the show, but the speculation is still there. There are also rumors floating around that Durk is planning revenge. While Durk seems like he's been having a tough recovery after the loss of a loved one, he did a video recently with Pooh Shiesty, who's signed by Gucci Mane. In the video, you can see that Durk is wearing a cap that says V-Roy in memory of King Von. It's a hat so that Durk can always have Von on his mind. Another major part of the equation as it stands now is an interview that was done with DJ Academics. King Von's manager has been one of the only people in the situation thus far to offer a different perspective on what went down, and he made it clear that he wants to clear some stuff up. He explains in the interview that he feels like he needs to come out and say his piece so that he can clear the air. According to him, King Von wasn't himself that night, and instead of being careful like he usually would in a situation like that, he let his guard down and instead was snuck up on by LUL Tim. In fact, after all that happened, or even in the heat of it, cops ran up and started shooting everywhere too. He wanted to make it clear that no one was running for shots or anything like that, but cops were shooting too. This means that, honestly, it could have just been the case that a stray bullet from one of the cops might have been the one that did it. Now, looking at the whole situation, people are going to have different opinions. Some people are going to think that Von screwed up. Some people are going to think that Quando and LUL Tim were defending themselves. Some people are going to think that there should have been more security, even though he had 2 security guys on him and drove in a bulletproof truck. And some people won't care at all. All that to say, there's only gonna be more of this case on the way as more information gets released. Whether some stuff happens with the police or some revenge going on, there'll definitely be more. What do y'all think? What happened that night outside of the club? What's gonna happen from here? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And remember to like, subscribe, and keep it risen.